Ellen DeGeneres is being accused of being racist. And it's all because of a photoshopped image that she tweeted on her account. Now, the image was one of Usain Bolt. He's a fast runner, everyone knows this, and a lot of people were making memes about it because as he was finishing a 100-meter race, he like turned and smiled at the cameras, like literally before he crossed the finish line, and people thought it was hilarious because he's so fast that he has time to kind of stop and smile at the cameras, right?
So look, Usain Bolt's been the fastest man in the world for a long time. He wins the 100-meter in the Olympics, and so he's so fast that he oftentimes will start slow because he doesn't want to, get disqualified in the beginning for starting wrong. And then he'll like, in the middle of a 100-meter, which is not a long race, he'll be like, oh, now I will win. And he'll just power past the other guys. And he'll sometimes look at them and smile as he's passing them. Oh, he's unbelievably fast.
I know that that's unsportsmanlike behavior, but I kind of love it.
Of course
right?
you do.
Like,
you're the queen of what now?
I know, I know. And I think, isn't that a strategy, though, in a race where you kind of start off slow and then, like, everyone's
not
like,
on a 100-meter.
Oh, yeah, you're right,
Just
you're right.
As fast as you can possibly go. It would be in longer distance runs. Anyway, so the bottom line is, the whole point of knowing Usain Bolt, what we know him for, is he's super fast. So Ellen's going to make a joke about that.
Yeah, so she made a joke about it. She tweeted an image of herself photoshopped on his back, and it just says, "This is how I'm running errands from now on," right? Usain Bolt apparently also retweeted that. But people felt that it was racist to show herself, riding on the back of Usain Bolt. So let me give you an example of some of the criticism that she got. One person wrote, "You thought it'd be funny to post a pic of yourself riding on the back of a black man? Nope. Delete this racist garbage." And by the way, I went in and I read a lot of the tweets myself because I think a lot of times the media is just like salivating over a non-controversy. And so they'll find like one or two tweets and they'll make a big deal about it. But no, a lot of people are actually really outraged and angry about that image. Another person wrote, "Ride that brother like a horse, Ellen. I know you secretly like the D." No. Actually, she doesn't like the D. That's actually a well-recorded fact. But anyway, so those were a few of the tweets that stood out to me. However, there were a lot of people who also defended her. One person said, "Y'all know damn well Ellen ain't racist, but y'all gonna act like she is because it's social media and you're annoying." And one other person says, "I'm absolutely baffled by the people who currently call Ellen DeGeneres racist because she more or less called an Olympic sprinter fast."
Okay, I'm ready for a ruling. Are you ready? Okay, Ellen, not racist. Okay, now I get the sense that you agree, Anna.
Yeah, I agree. That's racist.
Okay, now, but let me give it context, and then we're going to bring our black correspondent in, and then Anna will get on his shoulders, and then they'll make a decision. Okay. So, look. There are circumstances where you could use stereotypes of the past that you wouldn't normally think might be racist if you didn't know that context. So oftentimes this will happen with guys dressing up in blackface on Halloween. If you don't know, you're like, what's the big deal, man? I wouldn't care if a black guy wore a whiteface. Well, you don't know the history of people dressing in blackface and yada yada, right? So here, theoretically, you could begin to make that argument about it. You shouldn't have a black man carrying a white woman, but I don't even really quite know what it's referring to. And so, there's the reference to the horse, there's a reference to riding him like a mule, but that wasn't quite a thing either. You're really stretching to get there.
I just feel like context matters, right? And so, Ellen DeGeneres is not Tommy Lauren. Okay, Ellen DeGeneres is not someone who has a questionable history of making questionable statements about minorities, about black people. It's just, it doesn't make any sense, right? It was obviously meant in fun. It wasn't meant to be malicious in any way. Ellen DeGeneres is not racist. She's not racist, okay?
Yeah, I mean, so if you had the context of like Rush Limbaugh doing this,
yeah,
and saying, "Watch me ride this boy like chattel," you go, okay, there's a connection there that is ugly and inappropriate. Here, who really thinks Ellen meant it? Okay, now you can still be wrong even if you didn't mean it. So we go to J.R. Jackson, who is J.R. rated. So watch yourself. What do you think here, Jeff?
Well, that's the last thing you said is the one caveat. I mean, I don't believe it either that she has these racist tendencies, but people who have racist tendencies don't always show it in all their history, right? So it's not that that's the fact, but it's, again, it's the simple thing of just hear what people have to say. Maybe, and I doubt that everyone who saw it and had an immediate visceral reaction weren't being very honest with their feelings. I'm sure a lot of them said, damn, I don't like how that looks. Because there's a history. There's a history of black men being called studs and bucks and all that shit. So when you see someone writing them, you might think that harkens back to, depends on how much you were into it or how much that affected you or how much you really looked into it. So it's okay for people to have their feelings. And then after that, maybe explain yourself. You even say that, oh yeah, I get your feelings behind it. I understand what happened, but that wasn't what I was trying to do. And no hard feelings. Don't mean to really come off that way. I'm not getting the best wording for it, but to get angry at people for their automatic reaction doesn't really help either.
Oh, that's
say, you
interesting.
stupid idiots, what are you doing? What are you thinking? Well, they're thinking the way they think, you know? She's
But
thinking
if
the way
the
she thinks.
automatic reaction is this person is a racist, I mean, think about that, okay? And that's the thing that is really difficult as anyone who's in the limelight or anyone who's a public figure, right? You do something without any malice, without any bad intent, and then people start labeling you as a racist, right? And it just sucks because it's defamatory and it's not who she is, it's not what she meant. I guess that's the reason why. And another thing is, look, this is what my biggest concern is, aside from Ellen being called racist. Racism definitely exists, as we all know. Serious cases of racism where black people are disproportionately targeted by law enforcement, where you have more people, black people being thrown in prison for the exact same crimes that white individuals are doing. And so when you have stories like this, these are the stories that unfortunately get more attention, right, than the disproportionate targeting of police and all that. And so people will see stories like this and they'll be like, ah, come on, you see that? We have conquered racism. Like, they're making something out of nothing. And I don't want that to happen. I want people to take real instances of racism seriously.
So luckily, I'm going to resolve all this. Okay. So first of all, JR's right. There's a history of studs, et cetera. But Ellen's lesbian, so it's really quite fit, right? So again, context matters. But I think that the people who have a visceral reaction to it, I get what JR is saying. Okay, you had a visceral reaction to it because of what you know and what others might not know, and that was the reaction you had. But at the same time, I'd ask you to be careful about that a little bit because of what Anna said, which is, look, people aren't going to know that blacks get arrested 4 times as much for marijuana use than whites do, even though whites and blacks use marijuana at the same exact rate. See, now if everybody in the country knew that and you knew where the real racism was and how much it mattered and how it destroyed lives, and then you added this on top, okay, then that's less of an issue. But more people are going to find out about this Ellen DeGeneres thing than the marijuana fact. So, and then they're going to get to go, see, I knew it. It's all a bunch of nonsense. Of course, there's no race. That wasn't racist and nothing is racist. So, but at the same time, we all need to be calm too and go, okay, as JR said, okay, they had a visceral reaction to it. They're allowed to have a visceral reaction to it. It's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the world either way. I don't think Ellen is remotely racist. I don't think she meant anything by it. But at the same time, it's okay to say to the people who had that reaction, hey, let's talk it out. Instead of both sides being angry at one another, because there's real racism in the world, and there are real racists in the world, and they got to be called out. And we don't want to diminish the power of that because they have a real effect in this world. So that's the conversation I think we need to have.
And finally, I do want to give you Ellen's reaction to the criticism because she did tweet something about it afterwards. And she says, I am highly aware of the racism that exists in our country. It is the furthest thing from who I am.
Okay, God bless. So that's her not freaking out over it and saying it is what it is.
You get to feel a tone of, I know, in that tweet though. I'm just saying, you don't have to say I'm sorry because I don't think she did anything particularly wrong. But just be cool, just be even with it. You are in this place of notoriety and effect. You have an effect on people. You're known. It comes with the territory. So just understand it. Like, oh, I didn't even see that.
So that's okay.
I'm further seeing racist.
See, that's where I disagree with you. I think that tweet was totally fine. Because I wouldn't have apologized because I don't think she did anything wrong. So I see the tone that you're implying is in there, JR, but I don't think that's what she intended. No, I'm going full pardon. That's all right, though. We had the conversation.
Because it's not always the person that did it that's the racist. As we all know, there's racism in America. But we talk about how Donald Trump, we don't know how much he's really riling up racists, and we know he is a racist too. But how much he's riling it up for his own attention. But even when you're not trying to, there's people we know still in this country like, yeah, ride that N-word. And it's not good imagery all the time to see. Even if she doesn't mean it, which I agree she didn't mean it that way. I don't think she did. It's a funny looking image. She's smiling, it's a darker guy with white teeth smiling. So it looks like all these old school images you see of caricatures and making them the butt of the joke. She's above him. It's all these little things. I'm just saying.
Jay, I don't know if you heard earlier. I already made a rule. Now,
so I'm just sorry. I'm done. I know I talked further after we're already talking.
No. Those are all good points. And for people that have never watched the show before, I don't know if you know this. If I make a ruling, it doesn't actually mean anything. We all get to have our opinions, and they're all just as valid. Mine a little bit more so. But still, you see my point. Young Turks membership gets you the 2-hour show every single day. Watch it any way you like. Download it, stream it. You also get no ads at all. On top of that, you get the postgame. On top of that, you get really cool shows like Old School. On top of that, you are the independent media. I know what you're thinking now.
Can't wait.
TYTnetwork.com/join. Don't wait.